it's Ian at SS8000 Cars and I'm in central London. I'm in central London today because I'm going to pick up an AMG, Mercedes AMG GT S. So I'm quite looking forward to this. I've often thought that the AMG was undervalued by the marketplace because it hardly ever appears in the top 5, where these lists are dominated by the McLaren 570S, probably the Porsche Turbo S, and the Audi R8, and joined recently by the Honda NSX. So, you know, it's a tough market to compete in. A lot of these cars, however, are a good bit more expensive than the Mercedes AMG GT S, which comes in at about 110. And I'd say most of those other cars, especially the R8 V12 Plus, they're all £130,000 plus, whereas the AMG GTS comes in at about 112 for the GTS, or if you go for the lower spec one, 98.99 for the GT. So really looking forward to it. Going to have the car for a couple of weeks, so ample time to really get to experience it. And certainly from the videos I've seen on YouTube so far, the sound is just completely epic. Okay, well, I'll come back to you from inside the car and we'll have a chat about the car, what I think of it, and perhaps the competition. All right, guys. Hey guys, it's Ian from SS8000 Cars and I'm sitting in the new Merc. Pretty special machine, I have to say. Give you a quick run round the interior. It's got the full Burmeister sound system, which I have to say sounds absolutely fantastic. And first impressions are, oh my goodness, there are a lot of controls. Very, very high center console. I've got the engine ticking over, so if you come outside with me briefly, give you quite a good impression of the sound that the AMGs make. They are completely epic. Other than that, it's black inside and black outside. But it does have the benefit of the glass roof. Doesn't open, but it does make it feel a lot airier inside than might otherwise be the case. Quite a short car in a way. You sit very low down in it and you're very aware of the long bonnet that sort of goes out of sight, so you've absolutely no idea where that front bumper is. Seats are fantastically comfortable. Really sit down into them, you're gripped by the bolsters on either side of your thighs and around your torso. Is just fantastic. Quite fiddly, all the buttons, but I suspect they're fairly intuitive. Certainly I'm familiar with the center stack of buttons here, but you've also got buttons up in the roof, which are the heated seats, hazard warning, parking sensors and rear tailgate spoiler. And then you've got all your mission critical stuff here. So you've got your race position here, so I'm in comfort at the moment. You've got Sport, Sports Plus, you've got your engine start stop button, you've got your traction control and your suspension settings, so you can have the suspension settings in a softer position than if you're running in Sport Plus. I've got the exhaust loud button on, probably take that off. You've got the stop start. I tend to have that deactivated, if the truth be known. Not sure what this button does here, but this is obviously, I assume, the dash lighting control. And then you've got all your air conditioning controls here pretty much, and your access to the menu. But the menu is also controlled by what I call the eye controller, because it looks a bit like an eye controller here, which is your central stack, and that controls everything that comes up onto this screen. And then likewise, in between the rev counter and the speedometer, you also have another control unit that you can pull information up onto. But we'll cover that in a bit more detail, and I'm looking forward to the drive home. So what do we have here? Okay, this is a car that came in really to replace the Mercedes-Benz SLS, except it was pitched at a much lower level. So the SLS was probably getting on for 180, 190,000 pounds, whereas this car is 112 for the GTS and 98 for the GT. The GTS produces 510 HP, and I believe the GT produces 460 something HP. So there's not a significant difference between them, but there's no doubt that you will probably notice the extra 50 horsepower. This one has 19-inch wheel caliber at the front and 20-inch at the rear. I just think it's a great looking car. Quite a practical car, because there's quite a large boot area, which we'll cover tomorrow maybe. Quite a large boot area, but you can see, I commented earlier on the length of the bonnet. You think how far you're sitting, as the driver, how far you're sitting back from the front of the car. Just utterly extraordinary. It's a huge bonnet, and it literally disappears out of sight, so you've no idea where the front is from the driving seat. Now, it's quite possible with this you can get a front camera, which would probably be incredibly helpful. It has parking sensors, which, you know, they're going to help, but I think a front parking camera might be quite useful. This one I don't think has it, although I'll look at the at all the extras that the car's fitted with a little later. But you can see, not only is it incredibly wide, but it's also really low, and therefore it sort of gives over a really purposeful stance. Very purposeful from the rear, with the two huge exhaust covers. I think the actual exhausts are probably set well within, but nevertheless it really looks fantastic. And I think they got the styling absolutely right. Now, there have been a number of criticisms in the press about this car, in that although everybody likes it and thinks it looks great, ultimately it's how can I say, it's not dynamically as incredible as the McLaren 570S, the Audi R8, things like the Lamborghini Huracan, although these cars are really pitched a bit above the price level of the GTS. It's a V8 twin turbo, and really when you're driving it you really do not notice the turbo lag, although again I've only done about 5 miles in it, so it's a bit difficult to me be precise, but I'll have a chat to you about it on the way back to my home later on this afternoon. Quite a looker though. Wow. Well, hey guys, we're about to go on a journey in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT S. Now, we covered a few areas around this earlier, but I have to say this is quite fun. So they're all automatics, as you probably expect from a Merc AMG. Push down from park into neutral and then into drive, and then we're good to go. Okay, it's actually quite a wide car. I wouldn't say any wider than the McLaren, probably, certainly at the back. So what I wanted to chat to you about was where this car sits, because I think it's been quite clever of Mercedes-Benz AMG to launch a car that quite often gets compared with the SLS, which was the AMG supercar that came before this. And as I said earlier, one of the things about the SLS, of course, is it was priced way beyond the pricing structure in this car. But I think overall you still get, I mean, I drove an SLS, and I have to say that you get, it's still in a sense of occasion when you get into this. For me, I suppose this is a top flight sports car, isn't it? But for a top flight sports car stroke junior supercar, that has to be the first area you have to overcome as a manufacturer. I think the AMG has a bit of as far as I can see, has quite a unique position, because it doesn't seem to have that much competition, because underneath it, of course, you have the Lotus Evora, which is I think the new 410, and that's supposed to be quite a car, but I don't think it would match up to this, because although it's going to be lighter, it's more than 100 HP less in power. And there's also no question in my mind that the Merc V8s sound just incredible. I mean, there's just such a rumble from the rear exhausts, and the V8 itself sounds absolutely great. I think it's one of the pities in some ways. Some manufacturers have gone to sixes, twin turbo sixes, because you can extract quite a lot of power from the twin turbo 6 these days. A lot of BMWs have gone that way, where they used to be V10s, then they were V8s, and now I understand they're 6 cylinders. Actually, they weren't V8s, they were straight 8. Sorry, I don't know actually, was it a straight 8? Probably, because they were always straight 6s. So it's really sort of coming under the radar at 110, and if you go for the GT at under 100. And really, a lot of people that I've spoken to tend to think of this in the same group as, let's say, the 540c McLaren, which has 540 HP, but is a bit lighter due to the carbon monocell. The Audi R8, which is only really available, as I understand it, in V10 Plus form, although I think they've just announced the standard V10. So I think as a consequence of that may well come down in price. We have the Turbo S Porsche, which is, I think, 143, sort of mirrors the price of the 570S McLaren. And then we've now got the Honda NSX, which I think with a few bits on it is going to be up around the 130 mark, which of course is a combination of a 6-cylinder engine with 3 electric motors to supplement the power and provide all-wheel drive. So, you know, it's a very interesting marketplace. So I think it'll be over the next few days that I get a feel for whether I think this car can cut the mustard, because obviously it's got to be able to handle. But you know, as I think I've probably said to you on numerous occasions before, that I drive a lot in town, which of course I'm doing now. I do like this. I mean, it's a sense of occasion, and it feels, when you get in through the door, you're greeted by a fantastic smell of leather, and I love that. I mean, love that in a car. I mean, you don't really, even although there's Alcantara and leather in the McLaren, you don't really get a smell of it particularly. The Ferrari had a smell of leather. The FF that I had a smell of leather, as do the Bentleys, of course. But you know, they're at most of the Bentley V8 GT V8s again are priced at quite a bit more than this. You'd think they would be sort of 138, 140, and you'd need the V8S really, I suspect, to be able to match this on power. Okay, well, I think that's about all I can tell you at the moment about the AMG. I mean, I'm really quite pleasantly surprised, because I read some quite mixed reports about it, and I always think it's nice to get into something like this and experience it for yourself. It's just a nice environment, and I think it looks terrific in black. I don't know what you guys think, but I think black or maybe a dark blue seems to suit this car, because it already looks quite menacing, so it doesn't need too much to really make it look evil. So hey, I think we're going to have a bit of fun, and I'm actually looking forward to the drive home, let alone the next couple of weeks. Alright guys, well, thanks very much. It's Ian from SS8000 signing off for the moment.